I'll admit, I was not expecting to make this video, but with the possibility of that sweet YouTuber growth. And more importantly, the fact that I have fallen in love with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I really never got into the Sonic Racing games, even though I'd heard good things about them. Maybe it was me being a stupid Nintendo baby, or the fact that I only really played a few Sonic games growing up. The only Sonic Racing game I ever played was Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing on the DS. And while nowadays seeing all these Sega characters together is kinda cool, at the time, yeah, that. So at the time, the only characters I recognized was Sonic related, and beyond that, the actual racing just felt like a more watered down Mario Kart. So since then, I never really gave the series a chance. Until now. I missed out on the initial online playable demo for Cross Worlds, but I did play the single player demo, and I fell in love. So as I said, I wasn't really expecting to make this, but Sonic the Hedgehog has touched me, right in the heart. And to counterbalance the negativity, sadness, and disappointment of Mario Kart World, let me share with you one of my favorite racing games with enough potential to turn our disappointment into support for the team behind Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Goodness, this main song is incredibly catchy. There's no in-depth explanation or point to this being good or bad, it's just a very catchy song. I literally can't stop humming it when I'm playing the game, and even now as I'm editing, I'm still just humming this song. Now, as I said, it's been a long time since I even touched a Sonic Racing game, so I don't remember the format too well. But here, it's fairly similar to what you'd see in a lot of other kart racers. First off, we have our Grand Prix mode, where you do 3 unique races with 12 racers, and then the 4th is you racing through 1 lap of each of the 3 previous tracks, which I think is a really cool mix-up to the typical formula. Sure, there's slightly less courses than some games that have 4 tracks per cup, but as you're going to see, I think there's enough here to kind of counterbalance this. Plus, a lot of the courses are designed really well, not just from a visual standpoint, but also to play on. There are some things that I find annoying about certain tracks, but for the most part, a lot of them I find to be really enjoyable to play on. There's not much more to that. That's basically how the Grand Prix mode works. But what's interesting is some of the other mechanics that this game introduces. For example, while there are indeed 12 racers you're competing with as a whole, there is one person who is selected to be your rival. The CPU will generally be a little bit more difficult to deal with and is the one you're mainly competing with. You're mostly aiming to beat them, but beating everyone is ideal. This is a really fun mechanic that is interesting, and I don't think I've really seen another racing game do this. Though I do kind of wish this is something that could be turned on or off in the Grand Prix mode, so that way I could just play the race and just go against everybody, but as I said, you're really doing that anyway, so yeah. Beyond that, the main mechanic of Sonic Cross Worlds is crossing the worlds.
Oh brother, this guy's still
Basically, you do your first lap on the track, but upon reaching the start of the second, whoever is in first gets to pick between 2 different tracks, either selecting a random one or a specific one. Whichever one is chosen, everyone else will follow. You then do a lap of this unique track, some of which are unique to these cross-world segments, and are sometimes references to other past Sonic games. Upon completing it, you get shot right back out onto the track that you were at earlier. It may sound a little confusing, but that's me just having a bad time explaining it rather than it being bad. It really isn't. And it leads into an enjoyable and engaging mechanic that makes every race feel sort of unique. Another thing too is sometimes these crossroads will have unique mechanics indicated by this green icon. Sometimes it can be things like giving you more boost or a quicker boost charge. Sometimes a bunch of charge rings will appear that will increase your speed, or giving you an infinite speed power-up. I knew this was the main mechanic going into this game, as I had seen from the trailers, but I really wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I actually did. I expected it to be kind of gimmicky. As I said earlier, it allows for there to be more sense of random each time when you're going into a race, more so than the normal amount for an item-based racing game. Speaking of which, I guess I'll get out of the way that the item balance in this game is pretty good. I find myself rarely getting too annoyed with getting spammed with certain items, both on the offensive and defensive side. It's not perfect, but I think the item balance is currently in a pretty good spot now, especially for a game that just came out. Of course, I know a lot of people who may be intimidated by racing games or are into other racing games, and if either of those two happen to be you, well, I'm very happy to say that this game has a lot of options for you. For example, you can choose what you want everyone's overall max speed to be, so you can play at a slightly slower pace if it makes you more comfortable, or you can increase the pace. If you find the game a little too slow. There's also similar modes like Mirror Mode, which give you even more replayability in these tracks. There are also things like Smart Steering or Auto Accelerate available for those who find those features useful. Basically put, this game is very beginner friendly when it comes to easing your way into the game's main mechanics. Another example of this is the rival system, as I mentioned earlier. Every time you start a cup, the game will give you a difficulty it deems as the average for your current skill level, or aka the amount you've played. But it will typically give you a second option of a rival, which will allow you to increase the difficulty slightly. You can also change this at any time as well for those of you who are curious. And I'm sure some of you are sitting there and saying, yeah, Grand Prix options and stuff, that's all good. But what about the driving mechanics? You know, the main thing that you'll be doing the most of. Well, it's with my honor to tell you that I find them personally to be incredibly fun. Depending on how much stock you put into my word, I guess. This will be the last time I reiterate this in this particular video, but as I said, I've only ever played one other Sonic Racing game, and it was on the DS. And above that, I didn't even really give it that much time. But I remember finding it kind of dull. It wasn't necessarily a game I'd consider bad, but it just wasn't super engaging for me at the time. The new mechanics we have, or at least the mechanics that are here now, again, I don't remember them verbatim, so maybe these are very similar and I'm just stupid. Which isn't anything new. Are very rewarding, and have enough depth to keep people engaged, at least I feel, for quite a while. You have your accelerate, you have your brake, you have your rear view, all the mechanics that are very nice, but then of course you have your drifting. In my opinion, this is one of the most important mechanics to make feel good, since it's something that a lot of people are going to have to master and get used to using, and where generally a lot of the skill comes into play. And thankfully, this one I find quite enjoyable. The best thing I could equate it to is a mixture of Mario Kart's drifting and Crash Bandicoot Team Racing, for those of you who played both of those. Once you start your drift, this little bar will appear, and once it's filled once, a number will appear next to it, and you can release and you'll get a boost. That's really all there is to it. You hold it longer for a longer boost, get a bigger number, which will again give you more speed. And while yes, I still haven't 100% perfected it by any means, I've been finding it quite enjoyable to practice this drifting mechanic. One of my favorite parts of this, however, is actually counter drifting. Basically, once you initiate your drift at any time, you can slightly release the drift button, and at the same time, push the directional stick in the opposite direction of where your current drift is going, and you'll swap drifting directions while maintaining your current drift buildup, if that makes sense. This small addition is so much fun. It allows for some tight track design that at first glance can seem a little intimidating, but with the right amount of practice and good use of these mechanics makes for a fun and exciting race. On top of that, there are two other mechanics that you'll see depending on what track you're on where you'll be flying or sailing. Both of these mechanics are fine. I really do actually enjoy the water mechanically more than other recent racers, but it's still a little clunky feeling. But that's mostly probably due to me, still not fully being used to them, since at the time of recording this, I haven't had that much time in the game. And the flying is okay as well. The only problem I sort of have with it is just being able to tell where I can and can't go. I'm sure this is a problem that will be able to be easily avoided once I memorize the courses, but sometimes I just have a hard time figuring out where I'm going. Thankfully, the game does a pretty good job of getting you back on track if you actually hit an invisible wall or something, so at least it's not super punishing if you make a mistake. There are other mechanics to go over as well, like draft or the slipstream as they call it in this game, but again, I don't want this video to be 50 minutes long. Just know that I really have found myself enjoying these new mechanics that are presented here. They are very fun, and I've thoroughly been enjoying my time with them. So I very quickly went over Grand Prix, but there's some other stuff you can do as well. For example, we have the Quintessential Time Trial, which is a really enjoyable and fun for people who want to get into a more competitive aspect of this game that unfortunately is often overshadowed.
Oh brother, this guy's
Plus, it's a good way of familiarizing yourself with tracks and learning the best layouts for certain items and whatnot. And then there's the Party Mode, or at least that's what I've been calling this mode. It has different forms of racing that you'll engage in with, and a lot of them are team-based. There are a lot of them, for example, committing in teams and trying to collect more greens, for example, than the others, while also having to worry about your end placement. Trying to hit more boost greens overall than the other team. Boosting by running into each other more times than everyone else. Trying to hit the most people with items. These are all very fun distractions from the main racing mechanics. And it adds a lot more depth than you'd think. A lot of these I can certainly see being a lot of fun when I have friends around or whatever, as a lot of them are a lot more chaotic than the normal racing, but I think that's more than fine. As I said, these are side modes that are more or less distractions. You can compete with the CPUs here as well, unlocking some cool collectibles. Oh yeah, that's right, can you believe it? A game that rewards you for playing it? This game has rewards out the wazoo. There are these coupon things that you get basically for doing anything in the game, which can be used to buy new car pieces, or retry certain events if you're struggling to beat them. And even more than that, something I feel is incredibly important for any game that is aiming for longevity, or more critically important for games that are trying to strive for an online community, give something for players to aim for, whether it be small unlockables or big ones. Incentive goes a long way to encourage people to continue playing the game. At this point, I'm going to start trying to hotshot through some of these because, again, I don't want to be here forever. So let's hurry this up. First off, we have an amazing cast of characters. As I said, I've never been the biggest Sonic fan, but I'm familiar enough with the series. At least enough to the point where all of the main Sonic characters that are present I've at least seen or know what game they're from, even if I haven't played all of them. And while sure I've played through a majority of them, there's definitely a good variety of characters here. And I think that for a roster, whether this be where it begins or ends, I think that this is more than justifiable. All the Sonic classes are here, as well as some oddballs, but I think that all adds to the spectrum of this game, along with the customization for characters. There's also carts. As already mentioned, you get different cart pieces, but there are a lot of different carts you can use, which is really cool. And even beyond that, you can mix and match certain parts of the front of a car to the back of it and the wheels. All these also change the stats of your vehicle and the name and the look of it. It's just super cool. Now, of course, we aren't God here. We do have some limiting factors. For example, carts are split up into classes. One, for example, that's more focused on speed or power. These can be mixed or matched. You can't put a handling vehicle with a speed vehicle, just as an example. But I think that's more than justifiable and fine. It would make this game far more complicated than I think it already is, and a lot of the carts wouldn't make any sense to mix and match together and would look like some Frankenstein. Either way, this allows for everyone to be able to build a cart around their playstyle. Basically, you can fill whatever role you want to and optimize a cart around your play. And yeah, there's bound to be a meta or something that's considered best, but me personally, I don't care. This customization options are very fun. And yeah, if you're familiar with my last video about Mario Kart World, which yes, I promise this is the last time I compare the two, I'm sorry, it's just a lot of the things I love about this game are things I ironically enough specifically complained about lacking in Mario Kart World. Near the end of that video, I mentioned one of the things I would have loved to see was a use for the stickers, allowing us to customize our vehicle. Allowing us to put multiple on different vehicles and customize where they're at, and make vehicles more of our own. And yeah, in that video I got some feedback saying, well, they don't want to do that because people would probably make something inappropriate. But one, the stickers are so small I doubt most people would see them anyway, but two, if that was really that big of a concern, then they could probably implement something like Sonic Crossworlds did here, because yes, you can customize your cars, even more than that you can choose the paint style you want for specific segments, or you can place stickers around the vehicle to, again, give it more character. And you can even add other things like different horn sound effects or auras around it. Again, the amount of customization is just so cool. And in the fear of people probably making something inappropriate, they made it so stickers can't overlap, which makes it much harder to make something obscene on your vehicle, though I'm sure people will still find a way to work around it. Are you beginning to see a running pattern here? Sonic Crossworlds is built for players, to make the game what they want out of it. There are so many options for customizations and for ways of play that it's genuinely addicting to play. No, not that I can't put it down way, but this is a really fun game and I look forward to playing it when I get home. Sorry, I have to phrase it that way so parents in YouTube don't think video games are poisoning our youth. And that's probably still a thing, right?
Video games, because this is what it does. It appeals like the male fantasy.
Even beyond these bigger mechanics that definitely took time to implement, let's look at some of the smaller features that also took time to make as well, but are often getting overlooked. For example, the voice acting is pretty good, including the writing. And for example, when you're going against your rival characters, more often than not, they'll intermingle with each other. And the writing for these rival characters are really funny and really good.
You look tense, buddy. Wanna go fishing after this?
In fact, I remember before this game came out, once I started really getting interested in it, I just started watching the video compilations of the rival conversations because the dialogue was just so good. Plus I was excited for the game, but that's here or there. The animations are really good, the graphics in general are really good as well, and while I haven't had too much time with the online features, they seem to run fairly smoothly. Heck, let's even look at the extras menu. There's a place where you can go to listen to the music of the in-game soundtrack, to settings to help cover even more bases for people who need to customize the game around their playstyle, challenges that encourage you to play the game in specific ways and try new things that you may not think about doing normally and reward you in doing so, hints that help people who are learning these mechanics or feel intimidated for the first time. It's just so much fun. Okay guys, yeah I know I'm really simping for this game and I'm glazing real hard right now, but I've gotta talk about the mechanic that easily made this game for me and why I'm so excited for it, why I'm just excited sharing it with you, and above that, why I think it has so much potential. The gadget system. Basically, anytime you start racing across worlds, this panel will appear at the start of everything. Why? Because this is the lifeblood of this game. Gadgets are these little octagon things that you can use to customize, yet again, how you play in very unique ways. There are so many of them that I can't begin to go over all of them. And while you do have to unlock them all, there are a different amount of slots you can carry, up to 6 at most. There are some of these skills that will take up to 1, 2, or 3, depending on how powerful the game developers deemed them to be. They could do things like make boosts charge faster, give you specific items at the start of a race, and make them more common. Upgrade your stats of your vehicle, or let you do whole new mechanics that you wouldn't be able to do normally. The gadget system is so much fun. The amount of customization and nuance that this one mechanic fuels for this game, it's genuinely kind of mind-boggling. I can't wait to experiment with it and kind of just see what I like. Following that, they actually allow you to change it before every race, allowing you to make multiple different presets for specific tracks that you find useful. For example, if you find that the Eggman track is a little too hard for you, with its turns, and you find it hard to handle, then why not have one loadout that is more aimed towards handling, so that way the track comes along, you'll be ready for it, and can have a loadout that helps you for it. That's of course a very, very basic and specific rundown of this mechanic, but I just cannot overstate just how much fun this one mechanic adds. I know I keep saying fun, customization, cool, fun, and it just ends up with me repeating it, but it comes down to this. I really like Sonic Cross Worlds. Coming off the heels of a really disappointing game that I was looking forward to, and well, let's just say a lackluster support from its developers, at least at the time of writing this, I was pretty much willing to say, okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna have a fun racing game for a while. Then, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds was perfectly timed for me. I know it's not gonna be that way for everyone by any means, but for me, it could not have come at a better time. However, of course, I have to do what's right and talk about some of the things I don't like. It's only fair. Plus, since this game is getting updates, there's a chance that some of these things change later on, so let's get to these really quickly. First up, the line variety. Yes, I know I was gushing about the voice actors and saying they did a really good job and the writing is good, but I do think there should be something done about certain lines repeating too often, very specifically doing tricks. A lot of the time doing tricks in the air will cause your character to start saying specific lines. These lines aren't bad, but I wish they'd either A, be a point in between where they just wouldn't say anything. So for example, if you're doing too many tricks too many times, like back to back, they just wouldn't say anything. Amy saying one times in a row is not very fun. It kind of makes me want to supersonic run into traffic.
Oh, great heavens!
As previously mentioned, I think that both the water and flying mechanics used need a little bit fine-tuning, but I think they're fine if they stayed like this, more specifically the flying, as I mentioned, and even beyond that, again, I mentioned earlier, making it a little bit more clear, where you should be going when flying, at least when you're still learning the game, like a little green arrow appearing above your character or something. I think that would help when it comes to learning these areas. The game allows you to randomize your characters, which is a really cool and fun addition. But I really hope and think there should be an option to randomize your car parts. Again, you can't have different ones crisscross, but at least it'd be randomized. For example, give me a random speed car or something. You know, that'd be kind of neat. And on top of that, being able to randomize the gadgets would be cool, but these are more so things I wish would be here, rather than complaints. If you couldn't tell, it's because I just genuinely don't have too many. While I do like that in the Carnival mode there's a version of the 12-player normal race where you don't really have a rival and you can pick specific tracks, I do think that this should be something in the main menu next to play, or should be in its own little area, because a lot of the times people like me are going to be playing it locally, will want versus play or whatever its equivalent is, with more ease of access. And plus, it'd be nice if one of the options in the specific mode would be to change course instead of change character or go back to main menu, so you don't have to go through 50 different menus just to get to the same thing you're trying to do, if that makes sense. Sage has a different costume, which is cool, but why only her? Sure, Supersonic exists, and Knuckles, Tails, and Amy get a version of themselves from a show, I believe, but first off, the three of them don't just come with the game unless you bought a deluxe version, and second off, Supersonic is an unlock reward that literally makes you invulnerable to attacking items, and you can only use it in Grand Prix mode. Not exactly a costume, per se. And speaking of, why is it that to access these versions of Knuckles, Tails, and Amy, or even Supersonic, they have their own character slots? Yet, Sage's costume is in the same spot as the character roster. Yeah, I get that there's unique animations for some of them, so that could be the reason, but it still seems a little weird. Regardless, this is a minor complaint in the main scope of things. As I said, I'm sure there are other things I could complain about, small and maybe even big, that I'd want tweaked, but for the most part, as it stands, I'm enjoying the game. And coming along, its price is nothing super surprising comparatively to many other games on the market right now. I definitely think, however, that this is one that I'd be willing to shell out that money for if I was somebody who's really into racing games especially, and I really wanted something to dig my teeth into. And now with the promise of DLC in the future, this could lead to the hope of even free DLC. Yes, I understand that third-party characters are going to have to be paid DLC. I'm fine with that. They have to pay off these companies somehow. And as weird as that is to see SpongeBob and Hatsune Miku here, again, Sonic has been racing with other people, even from Sega, so this isn't that big of a deal. I do hope, however, that we could see more Sonic characters get added, or more Sonic-related carts get added for free. There are a lot of Sonic characters both in-game and out that I'm sure a lot of people would be loving to see. For example, I would love to see Chaos or Tikal from Sonic Adventure 1 just because I grew up with that game, but it'd be cool to even see more modern characters who were left out, or even more costumes, since Sage got one. It'd be cool to see different versions of Sonic or other characters from past designs come into play. Here's what it comes down to. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is the rare example of a AAA developer releasing a game that I not only think is worth its price, but is enjoyable and has potential. It's sad to really say, but unfortunately, that's something that is rare nowadays. A lot of the time when it comes to games that I think are worth its price, or full of potential, or are generally shining stars of the modern gaming sphere, it's often going to come down to indie developers. Again, this isn't to cut down any specific development team or anything like that. I'm simply saying it seems to be an unfortunate running theme with a lot of development teams. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is a genuine surprise. It is a really fun game that I look forward to playing when I get home. It almost brings me back to being a kid, in the sense of wonder of a video game and excitement and just wanting to get home to play it. Again, it's not perfect. And there are small things that I could continue to complain about, and small things I'm sure I'll find going forward I'm not the biggest fan of, as I continue to put more time into it. But I also see all of the things that I enjoy about this game, and what gives it its breath of life. And above that, I see how much potential it has for growth. I already mentioned paid DLC, but hopefully we can see some free in there as well. So here's the catalyst for me making this video. It's not just a gush or to glaze the Sega team, because I mean, technically I could do that about any game I think I enjoy, but I'm trying to spread this one because of my last video being overly negative. I wanted to spread something that was more positive in nature, especially for the people like me who were genuinely disappointed with recent releases and had been waiting a long time for something to come along like this. I wanted to give them some direction on what game to put their energy into. So, this is what I have to say. Please, play Sonic Cross Worlds. I understand it's an expensive game, so if you can't get it right now, and you need to wait for it to be on sale, or you need to get it used or whatever, that's fine. But I implore you, if you find it for a good price and you're able to get it, play it. Try it, at least. There are even free demos of this game that you can play right now, and it's on so many different consoles and pieces of hardware out there, so you're not going to be cut off for one specific console. It is a fun, enjoyable game in so many different avenues, and if you find yourself playing this game and playing it online, don't be surprised if you see me on the track as well. I definitely think this is going to be the racing game I'm going to be sinking my teeth into for quite a while now. And let's just hope that with all this potential we don't get another No Man's Sky deal where it starts off really good in terms of potential, but ends up going really poorly and then takes multiple years of development to get back where it should be. With all that being said, and with my opinion shared, as always, thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching. I hope to see you all in the next one.